everyone. So we are here today for another Freedom to Feel conversation with Walter Lübeck and
Hi.
DeFi. Yes, right there. And let me introduce him briefly, and then I'll ask him the question about introducing himself. So, Walter is a spiritual teacher, founder, and owner of the Rainbow Reiki in Germany. He also has written 25 books, 9 of them about Reiki, and they have been translated in more than 20 languages. Walter have produced several traditional Usui Reiki and Rainbow Reiki training videos, software for spiritual counseling, and several music CDs. So he's also a musician. I just read all this from his bio, although the bio is so much more extensive. So, in your own words, Walter, who are you?
Well, I just play around. So, what I do is my profession. On the other hand, it's my hobby. So, if I wouldn't do this as a profession, I would do this as a hobby. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself being on a different path of life because that's the only thing I can do. For all the rest,
Right.
I'm useless.
What a beautiful answer. I love the play. It's almost like you're playing with life and dancing with it.
I do.
How did you discover the possibility of being free to be you, to express the inner truth within your inner world? When did that become like the concrete for you? Like, this is it.
Yeah. So, I got spiritually realized after getting enlightened in the beginning of the 90s, in the early 90s, when I was traveling northern France and I visited Mont Saint-Michel. I don't know whether you heard about that. It's a beautiful island close to the coast
Yeah.
with an ancient church on it, but that is a very ancient place. There has been temples thousands of years before the Christians came.
Right.
And I was connecting in a shamanic way to that group of spiritual guides who were uh, the guardians of that place. And I also visited lots of these big obelisks. There are plenty of
Yeah.
them and really big,
Yeah.
big stuff. And in the evening of one day, I was in a hotel in a beautiful medieval town. I was walking around through the town, and then it hit me.
Yeah.
It hit me that everything is love, and my heart became
Mhm.
wide, and my memory became very clear about all my life. And I was looking at my life at the present, like it was a past, like it was a future, like it was a present. But at the same time, I had no pink glasses on. So
Yeah.
I was seeing exactly things going wrong, things going right,
Mhm.
but I didn't care at the moment. So it wasn't something I was judging. It was
Right.
just that I was seeing that very clearly. And
Yeah.
then it took me some months because also I had a Kundalini rising
Oh,
uh, to uh, to do something with the energy. Well,
right.
there are books about the Kundalini out there, but if it happens to you, it's a weird experience. I think it's also very individual. I only met a few people who had a similar experience, and for each of them, it was individual in some ways. I
Right.
was running a lot. I was running every day, 20 kilometers, meaning about, I
Mhm.
don't know,
Wow.
15 miles, something.
Yeah.
Um, I always liked uh, long range running, but I had to because I had no idea what to do with the energy. So, and
Right.
then after a while, I was getting more clear about what to do with it and channeling this into the healings and into the groups I gave and into the teachings and contacts with the spiritual guides, which I came to know in different way because I had the first contact when I was about 2.5 years old, when I was playing in the sandbox and was looking up. There was an angel looking at
Right.
me. I was looking at the angel. I had no idea what
Mhm.
that was.
Right.
But it became different. Like I suddenly was a spiritual adult.
Yeah.
And then there came this balance thing, because
Yeah.
a lot of people think when you're enlightened, when you're spiritual, realize, oh, well, you're kind of Supergirl, Superman,
Yeah.
everything works great, you're Doctor
Right.
Strange, you can time
Yeah.
travel, everything, you are rich and famous and everybody likes you and so on, you smile all the time. Forget it.
Yeah.
So what I
Mm.
had to learn, and I learned some of these things the hard way, was if you are happy all the time because you see that, well, life is infinite, and so why do you care,
Right.
that this is no good idea if you are around people who are not spiritually realized, because
Mm.
they have a different approach. So if your partner comes home, for example, and tells you, I just was driving the car into a wall, and I was fired at my job, and have big scratches on my knees and so on, you say, oh dear, in about 1,000 years you laugh about that and so on.
Yeah.
They will try to strangle you. I don't know why.
Right. Right.
It's not really what you can do with them, and
Right.
and, and they are right in a way, because
Yeah. Mm.
what we live here, our little lives, they are significant. They are
Yeah.
great, because otherwise divine, what we are,
Yeah.
would be very bored. It would be so
Right.
bored, because
Right.
if you are oneness, well, you can't do anything, because there is just oneness and nobody else. So
Right.
you are not surprised, you cannot be shocked, you cannot be in awe, because you know everything. So it's
Right.
boring.
Yes.
There's even no Netflix.
Spiritual enlightenment or spiritual realization. Why do some of us get to experience that, and some don't, or never will in this lifetime?
Well, that is a question which I think is very important, and it's really interesting to follow it. I meditated a lot about that. I talked with people about that, and my conclusion is that you need a warrior mind to go for enlightenment and for
Right.
spiritual realization. This is not the same.
Yeah.
Enlightenment is that you usually partially are aware of things from the same perspective as divine. But
Right.
that does not necessarily mean that you like what you are aware of, or that you
Right.
understand what you are aware of. You just are aware of it, and you could be frightened. But even if you did not have a spiritual teacher before that, before you reached enlightenment, you must have one when you're enlightened, because otherwise you have a big problem. You need someone
Mm.
who knows that kind of story and is able to help you to love what is there.
Right.
Because finally, at the end of the day, spiritual realization is just that you love what is.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
all. It's not
Mm.
about being superhuman or whatever. Of course, you
Mm.
can do this or that miracle. It's
Yeah.
it's very individual, but this is not why you do that. It's if you
Mm.
try to do it because of that, you
Yeah.
never get it. Never
Right.
ever. Because
Mm.
it's something where you say yes to what is. You
Right.
say yes to the good, you say yes to the bad, you say yes to in between, and you say yes to nothingness. So if you don't know, it's
Yeah.
also something where you say yes to, and you say yes to no. So
Right.
it is a kind of warrior mentality which you need, because on the one hand you need to get towards the divine, on the other hand you need to embrace being imperfect, being human, being
Right.
limited, and so on, because
Right.
this is what divine wants, this is
Yeah.
what divine does.
Mm.
On the one hand, there is divine in the state of oneness. There is just a mathematical point which has no diameter at all. It's just, you know everything,
Right.
but no time, no space, no me and you and so on, just one. But then you have something emanating from that, and these are, as the Chinese say, the 10,000 things. So
Yeah.
meaning all the atoms and all the beings and every individual, and time and space. And well, let's face it, time is just a it's
Mm.
just a support, that we
Right.
have a kind of order in what we experience. Otherwise, we don't need any time. But
Right.
for this, we need time. Without time, we had everything together, or it happens yesterday, it happens
Yeah.
tomorrow, and
Yeah.
we got a little bit dizzy in the head. So we need time.
Yeah.
But time is not a fixed thing. It is a result of the three dimensions.
Mm.
And I know that people talk about 12 dimensions, 15 dimensions, and so on.
Yeah.
And I don't care. You can have as many dimensions as you want, because a dimension could be love, a dimension could be happiness, a dimension could be anger, or whatever. It is
Right.
just that you make up your own system with your own dimensions. But the things we all are drawn to is three dimensions of space and one dimension of time. And the time is an effect of the space, because without the time, things cannot happen in a certain order. Now,
Right.
enlightenment
Mm,
gives you
yeah.
insight
Yeah.
into something which happens at the moment. So, for
Yeah.
example, you have a conversation with your partner, and you love your partner, and you are in a way happy, like we are happy after being together for 3 or 5 years
Yeah.
with the other person. And then there is this clarity, and you watch the other person like with a kind of energetical x-ray machine, and you know exactly where this person comes from, where the person is going to, what's going on with the person. You see everything, absolutely everything. And seeing is not the right expression. It's like an awareness which goes way beyond the five senses,
Right.
and
Right.
even beyond extrasensory perception, because it's not clairvoyance. So,
Right.
and then, by while you know all this, you need to open up your heart for this,
Yeah.
instead of getting shocked and think, oh,
Yeah.
what is it I'm together with? I don't want
Right.
that.
Right.
Because this is who we are. This is what we are. This is
Yeah.
what the partner is, and this is the moment where love is challenged. Are
Mm,
you are you
yeah.
really ready to learn to love your partner like he or she is?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go on loving the partner like you imagine the partner? You know, just
Yeah.
brushing
Mm,
out about 99.9999% of what the
right.
person is, and they are, I love you so much, yeah, because I'm looking like this on you.
Yeah.
So it's not real love. It's a kind of
Mm,
deception. I don't know whether it's the right word. It's
yeah.
an illusion, it's
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
it's not right. It's not what real is. So enlightenment needs a warrior mind, because you constantly have to balance these two things. You need
Right.
to understand that
Right.
the equilibrium is what it's all about. It is not that you go spiritual, everything's fine, and you are happy and smiling, everything,
Yeah.
because you would be unbearable for everybody else.
Right.
And you could not do anything. When you are meditating, when you're in a state of oneness, you are absolutely useless. So
Mm,
when I unite with divine, I can't do anything, because divine doesn't do anything.
right. Right.
Divine is, it doesn't do.
Mm,
So this, in short, is
wow.
what I can say about that.
Yeah. Wow. You said a lot there. And what comes to mind is how does Reiki fit into all of that? How did Reiki find you, Walter? I'd
Well,
love to know that. Yeah.
yeah, Reiki found me. That's for sure. I was in the practice of a naturopathic healer in Germany, because I was ill at that time, and on the wall there was a certificate about first degree of Reiki. I've never seen that. That was 1987. So in Germany there was just one book about Reiki, and you couldn't get it in a bookstore, because no serious bookseller wanted to offer a Reiki book.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I asked this doctor, and he told me, I will not explain anything about this. You just go to the class. There will be a master coming from Frankfurt. You go to that class. It's good. I trusted him. I was
Yeah.
going there. I had no idea what that was.
Yeah.
And then there were people who told me they had been at another class, and in reality they were a penguin or a bear, and they were making their own shoes, because the industrial shoes, they had bad energy, and they were embraced by angels, and they had kundalini rising up and down and everything. And I thought, this is an interesting bunch of people. And that was the first time that I attended a class, a spiritual class. I had no idea that this was possible. So I had spiritual experiences since my childhood, but they were very private, not secret, but private. I didn't know with whom to talk about that.
Right.
So I was in this class, and there were lots of people who had spiritual experiences in their own ways. And this master was interesting, and I received these initiations. And then I felt that Reiki was opening me, the energy Reiki.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the energy Reiki, what I later found out, I'm one of 5 people internationally who did original research on Reiki, and I wrote books about that. For example,
Yeah.
the Big Book of Reiki Symbols and the Spirit of Reiki. They are
Yeah.
about system. The Reiki energy is what you find when yin and yang come together. So Reiki helps
Mhm.
yin to transform to yang, and yang transform to yin, in a
Yeah.
natural order, based
Yeah.
on divine natural order.
Yes.
So it helped me to realize who I am and what my soul wants to do in this life. So this was a purpose for the energy Reiki for me. And then I was starting to give classes and to
Yeah.
offer sessions and help people to learn to meditate and so on. But Reiki was a kind of envoy, passing on the message to me, hey, wake up, it's time now, you're 28, come on, yeah,
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
want?
Yeah. Wow. So Reiki is, I have done it before,
Hmm.
not too many sessions, but some of them. And I
Hmm.
felt it immediately, the energy, like in the heart area was like going around, like circling the energy around the heart area. I remember that. Um, so Reiki is this divine energy that it's in perfect order, as you said, some harmony. It brings harmony to the organism. It could be also pets, right, Walter, not just human beings. So is that how you, for those who don't know, that's how you, would you define, describe what Reiki is, this energy that balances everything?
No, no, it doesn't really balance. It helps yang to transform to yin and yin to yang, or the five elements into each other. And then there is free will. That means Reiki
Ah,
does not force this on you, it
right.
offers this to you. So do you
Ah,
want it? And if
yeah.
people don't want it, they get into a big ego struggle. This is why one of the reasons, in my understanding, why there is a lot of ego struggle in the Reiki community, which is just
Yeah.
part of being human. That's
Yeah.
part of the game. And it's interesting to learn to open up to Reiki so Reiki can do the job for what it came to us. And this is something where you need a teacher. This is something where you need techniques. And then I differentiate. You could use Reiki for spiritual progress, walking spiritual path, soul path.
Yeah.
You could use Reiki, on the other hand, to straighten the hips, to delete an allergy, to
Yeah.
make wounds heal much faster. Uh,
Yeah.
in a way, it's all the same. You just focus it on
Right.
different areas. So I
Right.
developed methods where I could have a room full of 50 people, and like that, all the hips of them are straight. You can
Wow.
measure it. So it's a reality. It's
That's
not something
amazing.
which just goes on in the mind.
Right. Right.
And this is what I teach. Why I call this system Rainbow Reiki, because
Yeah.
it goes into practice on the one hand, practice which is an alternative to what we usually do. And on the other hand, it offers things like Reiki light body work, or Reiki community with angels, and these kind of things,
Wow.
because I know if we don't get into the spiritual area, we are not able to really find
Mm.
a good life.
Mm.
So just being able to fix
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
a problem with your health, does not help you finally to be happy. For
Right.
this, you need to develop your light body. You need to contact the angels. You need to be aware of the divine. You need to learn to meditate.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And then to go a little bit deeper into it, so the energy of Reiki is transmitted through people like yourself and so many other, let's say, vessels, but it's coming from, you call it angels. Is there like entities in the spiritual realm?
Yeah.
It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Oh, okay, it is. And they are different entities, not just one of them. Like,
Lots of them.
right. Okay. So you channel, you know exactly the one that you're channeling when you're doing the Reiki sessions.
Well, there is a being called the Great Sun Buddha, Dainichi Nirai, which, in terms of esoteric Buddhism, is together with a great goddess, which is Daimarishi Ten, is like um, directly under creator. So there is a creator, and then there are two, let's say, head angels,
Yeah.
one female, one male, and then there are lots of other angels. But the light beings, I came to know them when I was 2.5 years old. I had many conversations with them. They don't establish levels and they don't establish hierarchies. That's the human point of view.
Wow. Yeah.
For them, it is the same thing whether they take care for a plant, or they take care for a
Mm,
sun or a galaxy, or they
yeah.
take care for the whole universe. For them,
Right.
it's the same. For
Right.
us, we make up these kind of
Mm,
levels.
yes. Right. Oh, wow. So no, there's no limit to boundaries when it
No,
comes to
no.
helping and affecting existence itself. That's really beautiful. So, the more I read about it, from the information I got from you, the more I get fascinated by it. So, the meaning of Reiki. Reiki is a Japanese term that means spiritual life energy. And can you talk to me for a moment about the history of Reiki, Walter, please?
Sure. There is one history of the energy Reiki, which was put into a healing system, which we often also call Reiki, by a Japanese guy called Mikao Usui about 100 years ago, and he had just 4 years to teach this, and he taught a lot of masters and 2,000 students and so on. Then he died. But the energy Reiki, he did not invent that. This is like, the water which is in the fields, or the
Mm,
clouds and the rain.
yeah.
Um, I did a lot of research in China, in India, in Hong Kong, in Bali, about the origins of Reiki. And I came to know about the Wu shamans in China. And the Wu shamans in China, they had a kind of mask for the face, which has exactly the ancient Reiki symbol on it.
Oh, wow.
They were wearing that mask, and they were famous for the healing powers. And guess how
Mm,
they got them? They were going in springtime around Easter to one of the holy mountains in China. They have plenty.
yeah.
And they're meditating there for 3 weeks and
Wow.
fasting, did not eat. And when they came back, they had healing hands and they could help the people to get
Wow.
happy and healthy again and so on. So,
Wow.
more than 2,000 years before Usui,
Yeah.
there already was a tradition like that. And I found this tradition later on also in the Koreas and Taiwan and in Vietnam and many other places. Usui was discovering this, but he did not invent it.
Right.
And when you go deeper into the qigong in China, I had the great advantage to had some discussion with high level masters of qigong in Hong Kong. You see that they know about this. They call it Ling Chi, was the same kanji, the same written word, but they
Right.
say Ling Chi, not Reiki. And Ling
Right.
Chi, they know well. If you are a master of qigong, if you have a second or third level, you know about Ling Chi. You deal with Ling Chi, and Ling Chi is like the quartermaster of divine key, which is called Shenki. So
Wow.
quartermaster means you open up to Reiki. And this is something you need to make decisions for doing
Mm,
that. It's not just happening
yeah.
like that.
Right.
So, and then if you have accumulated enough Ling Chi, then the Shenki will come automatically because it thinks, well, now the person is ready and I can go there.
Right. Oh, I see. So it doesn't require a belief system, but we have to
No,
be open to it. We
yeah,
need to be
yeah.
somehow
No
willing.
belief. Mhm.
Right. Okay. And so the concept of free will, it is true to you. We do have free will, right,
Oh
Walter?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We have two components which govern our path. One is what we have decided between lives, what we want to do, and you can look at it uh, from the astrological point of view, because when you have the birth chart, you see when, at which age will come what kind of learning topic to this person. The other
Yes.
thing is the free will. So what do we do with the learning topics? We could be happy, we could be healthy, we could be successful, but we also could be losers, we could be unhappy and sad.
Right.
The
Mm,
astrology does not decide for us, but it comes like the wind, like if we would
yeah.
be a
Yeah.
sailboat, we
Yeah.
cannot decide where the wind comes from or about
Yeah.
the tides, but we
True.
can make use of it.
Right. I love that analogy. This, yeah, as metaphor. It's really beautiful. It's so true. Yeah. And there's another question that I have for you: the difference between Usui Reiki and Rainbow Reiki, by Walter Lübeck. That's, I know you have created that system. So what is the difference, Walter?
Well, there are plenty of differences. It's like that. There is no Usui Reiki because
Ah,
Usui Reiki was finished when Usui died. And after the founder died, there were many interpretations, many ways what he had taught was developed or made less and
yeah,
was taught to students. So today we have some symbols, we have initiations, and that we have initiations going from Usui to another master, another master, another master to a student. So these are the three elements which you could call a tradition. Otherwise, there is no mainstream Usui Reiki. There is
Ah,
just what this master does and what that master does, and they have different opinions and different ways to do things.
right.
Some place hands on the body, or many do, but many
Yeah.
don't. So Rainbow Reiki is different in the way that I did research on how to help better with Reiki from beginning. So since 87, I was trying to find out how could I help better? How could I help people where the usual Reiki approach does not help them to get any further?
Right.
And this is why I wrote my books about Reiki to pass on this knowledge, because you can do with the Reiki energy and the basic toolbox of Usui so wonderful things. Like in my book Rainbow Reiki, you can create homeopathic remedy alikes and flowers and angel essences and crystal essences, and you could do work with spiritual power spots like the Cheops pyramid and Ururu and so on.
Right.
And by teaching this to people, how to work with Reiki, with the chakras, and with angels and everything, you widen what you
Yeah.
could do with Reiki.
Right.
So during the
Wow.
first 10 years, I was just widening the approach, but I was using the original symbols and I was using the original initiations. But then I trusted my memories of former lives. I remember lots of former lives until
Yeah.
Lemuria and before, and I was teaching additional symbols because they had used the energy Reiki also in ancient Egypt and in India and Lemuria and so on. And
Yeah.
so I taught people how to work with these symbols and be able to do things which you could not imagine with
Wow.
Usui Reiki. For example, in about 2 minutes, I built up a complete whole body treatment activated for one person or a group of people plus pets, and it doesn't matter where they are, and it
Wow.
runs for 20 minutes on their own. I don't have to do anything for that.
That's
You
amazing.
cannot do this with Usui Reiki.
Yeah.
So I
Wow.
developed many things to make Reiki better available, make it more efficient, and help people to understand what they were doing so they could be creative.
Right.
I like people being creative as well.
Yes, I love that too. See, that's something that I really love about this existence, which we call life, just being creative with whatever is here. Speaking of creativity, so your books, I need to mention some of them. You have written The Spirit of Reiki, The Complete Reiki Handbook, The Aura Healing Handbook, Rainbow Reiki, Reiki Best Practices, The Tao of Money. Interesting too. So, in many other titles. And another, you just mentioned about training. So, I have those questions for you about the School of Rainbow Reiki. So you train others to do what you do. Is that something that it's actually for everyone, Walter? Anyone can become a Reiki practitioner, or yeah,
Yes, everybody. And in fact, I have several different spiritual schools. I have the Rainbow Reiki School. I invented three rays meditation, the White Feather Shamanic School, which is also international, and Lemurian Tantra. And
oh
these
wow,
schools are internationally in 15 countries. So from Mongolia to the United States to Argentina and so on. And they have all the same core. So they're all built on my memories of former lifetimes,
yeah,
especially in Lemuria. And most of what I'm teaching there is unique content because I developed that.
yeah,
And what I want is to give people the opportunity to learn, let's say, something you can compare to university level when it
yeah,
comes to spiritual energy work and spirituality. I
right,
want to have this kind of teachings like you did in the ancient Indian school systems, where
right,
you did not just talk about the basics, you were talking also about much more.
right.
So I teach the people who want to become pros. For the rest, there is so much on the market. I don't have to add another one. I want to do something where people really can go for it.
Yeah, I love that. Wow. So the more healers we have in the world, the more healed the world will be.
Yeah.
This reality will be. So what a beautiful intention. Is that the main intention of your work?
Yes, yes. I want to have healers, spiritual healers, which are competent, who offer alternatives to what we have otherwise in our society, and
Yeah.
that they are available in every part of a city, in every village, and that
Yeah.
people get used to integrate visiting a spiritual healer into maintaining their own health and their vitality. Because you see, I'm not against medical doctors, I'm not against school medicine. I just
Right.
think you could do so much before someone gets ill.
Yeah.
You could do so many things parallel to what a medical doctor does.
Right.
And we should give people what we can do best, and things will come together and they will help each other, they will support each other. So
Yeah.
I like to support the planet, I like to support the beings here, and contribute to making this world a paradise for all beings again.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision. I love the vision. Where is it? Yeah, I love that. I have to say, you say you're right. It's basically what he said, but you said in a different way. Rainbow Reiki vision statements. That's what I read. It says here, a world with an abundance of spiritual miracle healers who create peace between the people and to transform the planet Earth into paradise for all beings again. That caught my attention because you said again. So at some point in the history of humanity, or yeah, humans incarnated, we had that peace. That's what.
Yes.
When did that happen? Is that Lemura or that was a
Yeah.
different?
It was in Lemuria, and this era ended about 12,000 years ago when meteorites came down and changed the axis of the Earth, and there were earthquakes and everything. And before, there were tens of thousands of years of unbroken history in Lemuria, which stretched out from today's Hawaii and Easter Islands to parts of Africa, China, Japan, parts of Australia, New Zealand, and of course
Yeah,
the many islands, which were much larger at that time and
right.
often connected by land bridges. And
Yes.
the people there, they lived a very spiritual, happy life. They had a high developed technology, but it was drawing on spiritual energies which were provided by the angels as a great goddess, Mother Earth,
Yeah,
Mother Life. And these people were, for example, using big slabs of stone to travel through the air over 100 miles. They
wow.
could build um, big buildings out
Yeah,
of massive stones, like
right.
50 tons, 100 tons of weight.
Wow.
They were fitting together so you cannot put a sheet of paper in between. But
Right.
mostly, they did not live there. It was just for energy work purposes that they did that they erected these buildings, for example, in today's southern America or Africa or Europe and so on.
Yeah.
They just wanted to connect the energy lines, and they had a very sensual living. So for them, the body was a temple
Yeah.
of the mind. It wasn't something which you
Mm,
should delete, which is no good. They understood that sexuality is a meditation. It could be a meditation where you bring lots of energy into the heart and
yeah.
make love emanate to your whole
Mm,
surroundings,
yeah.
miles and miles around you.
Yeah.
And they united in the great gardens of the goddess with the energies of angels and of animals and of plants and wells. They had a very spiritual culture, which in some ways was very simple because they didn't want to have new gadgets all the time. On the
Right.
other hand, it was very complex because they did energy work, for example, that the personalities could travel far away to other planets
Wow.
and go into um, landlords, you could say, in their body.
Yeah.
And this was a much more elegant way than to drive with spacecraft. They didn't use spacecraft because they thought this being primitive. Because in a
Wow.
spacecraft, if you go to another planet, you have so much things you cannot do. But if you travel with your personality while your body sleeps in a sarcophagus, this is what a
Yeah.
sarcophagus originally
Mm,
was made for, you know? you
right.
you have access to all the memories, to all the senses, everything. So whether you are a kind of fish or a bird or you're living like a big snowflake in between the stars, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because you
Yeah.
are there and you know everything and you can do everything. And so they were part of an interstellar civilization and were exchanging envoys very much. And they were living a simple but at the same time sophisticated life,
Yeah.
which had a common core. This is spirituality, and this is what I want
Mm.
to
Right.
contribute to, that we have that again. I think we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
We are living at a crucial time.
Yeah.
We are living in a time of transformation and challenge, but challenge is also opportunity.
Right. For new beginnings, right? We
Yeah,
need, there's
yeah.
always ending and then new beginnings, birth and rebirth. Um, wow. I mean, what's not to love about your message? Oh, it's just, and I know the system you have created, the rainbow Reiki, but
Mhm,
then your vision is universal. It's eternal. That has
mhm.
been, I mean, that will be always with us. Will resonate truth with the heart. Um, Another thing, we're almost at the end. Gosh, Walter, and I would talk to you forever about these things. I love the five principles of Mikao Usui,
Mhm.
which is Reiki. That's the reference. Just today, do not worry, do not anger, be dedicated to your work, be thankful, be kind to all beings. And that's what we need to see, right, more in this reality, within ourselves, our homes, and then here expanded, with everyone. And kindness is just is a huge, for me, I don't it's a guiding principle for me. It has been, as we talked off record
Exactly.
for a moment, because after everything has been said and done, all the knowledge that we acquire, in the end, that's what really matters, isn't it,
Yeah,
Walter?
yeah, absolutely. This kindness, kindness is for me, it's collection of things like tolerance, like being nice with each other, like understanding, like forgiving, and so on. See, you cannot live together in a relationship without hurting each other. But
Mm,
when you love each other,
yeah.
then you can learn how to forgive each other.
Yes.
There is no way not to hurt each other. You are different people.
Yeah.
You have limited
Yeah.
approaches. You are vulnerable. So you
Yeah.
will hurt each other. But if you love each other, you will forgive.
Yeah. You see, I love that. I love the practicality in that truth, because it is, right. We tend to think that we can live without conflicts, but it's not really, not in this reality, not as
No,
human beings. I agree. That's why kindness, the practice of love and kindness, it's so important. And I know
absolutely.
it's not just a Buddhist thing, a spiritual
No.
thing. It's a universal thing. I mean, it's a principle to me. I love the three main rainbow Reiki principles too. So personal responsibility, love, and consciousness. That caught my attention. And then there's so much more. I love the 17 specific rainbow Reiki principles. I don't have all of them here, but then because I couldn't fit in the paper, but I have 11 of them. And I'm just gonna mention some. Well, actually, I'm gonna ask you, Walter, what is your, I mean, I'm sure you will say all of them is your favorite, but what is one, if there's one principle that we should carry with us from today forward as a practice, what would that be from all of the 17?
Well, these 17 principles, in fact, are um, details of the three, you know,
Yeah.
and the three, they start with consciousness. So for me, every spiritual development starts with consciousness.
Yeah.
If you are not conscious about something, you cannot love it.
Right.
If you're not conscious about something, you cannot forgive it.
Right.
If you're not conscious about something, you cannot do anything with it.
Right.
So if you want to develop love, if you want to
Yeah.
take care for the children, for example, yeah,
Yeah. I love that.
and so on, then
Yeah.
you first must be conscious about them. If you want to love your partner more, then it's not firstly a matter of heart, it's a matter of consciousness. Because how
Mm,
could you love your partner if you're not
mm,
aware of your partner?
right. Right.
And there is
True.
something about the children, taking care for
Mm,
the children. If I want to take care for the children,
yeah.
I must stop trying to make them a kind of little cuddly somethings. They are human beings. They are
Yes.
just short time away from the spiritual world, so they have not had enough time to develop their ability to deal with this world. But that
Right.
does not mean they are, something which is not good enough or too small or
Mm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I need to be conscious about the holy each being is, even as a child.
Right.
And so I think the the point with the children
Yeah.
is something very important, but you must start with a consciousness. Without consciousness, there is no love.
Yeah. You know, yes. What can I say? When I speak of kindness and love, it's because I have been doing the work of becoming conscious and aware. So it's true. We can't just say that kind and kindness and love and throw that out there. It's really it's really going returning to what we are really, isn't it? We are conscious beings. We are aware of, we are capable of being aware of everything. That's the reason we are here. It's awareness that makes us who we are. But in the children part, it caught my attention when I saw that it's number 3 on the list. And then I thought about so many of us are abused, are taking the innocence very
Oh
young.
yeah.
It was my case. So many people I know, my family members, my own husband, and it's sad that it's sad. I have to say that. Period. And then it's interesting that we are able to find our way back to wisdom, and then we reconnect. We kind of become innocent again, but wise this time, so no one can abuse us anymore. And it's said that there are forces in this reality that it's not conscious of that to protect the innocent, and
Yes.
that kind of scares me when I think about it. But I try not to be scared of anything and be fearful. So I kind of I love your message, and that's what I do. What I do too. So we become more conscious of protecting our own hearts that beat everywhere, especially with the innocent, because that's what the heart represents, really, innocence.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Walter, for saying that too. Yeah, it's very
Thank
close to
you,
my heart.
Valeria.
Yeah, that message. Yeah,
The children, if we discover our own inner child, we will take care of the children outside.
yeah, right.
It's so important.
Yeah, yeah. It's very emotional. It gets very emotional, I guess, because when I think about how when I was a child, then I looked everything with that innocence and
Yes.
seeing love everywhere and expecting
Yes.
that to come back to me as a body, mind, but it wasn't there. It was the opposite. So yeah, that's wow. That's if there's a work to be done here in this reality, a main one is that is just being conscious of the heart. It's
We need
very
to protect
vulnerable.
the children. We need to
Yes,
protect the
I
children.
love.
We need to help
Yeah,
the adults to discover their own child and their own heart and make love flow, so
right,
they understand that they need to protect the children and not only know it, they need to
right,
understand it.
right, right. I love that message. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you, Walter. So to end our conversation today, I love this ending. This is the best ending for me. But I will ask you a few more questions, technical one, and then I'll just ask this one. So, besides the protecting children, it's a huge message which has to do to me with consciousness and kindness and love.
Mhm.
What is another message you wish everyone to take from this conversation today and live by? What is another one?
Forgive and let go.
Yeah,
If you don't forgive and let go, you are a prisoner of your own past.
right.
Why should you? It's done.
Right. That's another, yeah, important one. In order to love and even become conscious, we need to free our hearts, right, from resentment.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Walter. I really appreciate your heart, everything you do. It's just the most beautiful thing. What can I say? And before we say goodbye for today, what is the best place to find you to learn more about your work and you?
Well, you could find me in the internet, and most of my classes are German English, some of them just English. You can find me on my website, www.walterlübeck.com. I have a Facebook page, I have a Twitter page, Instagram, and I'm also with about 500 videos on my YouTube channel. And many of them are English language about
Wow.
spiritual topics and with energy work. So just go there and go shopping
Ah,
because
yeah.
it's for free. You just
Yes.
serve yourself as much as you want and get the good vibes going for you.
Yes, we need to get started, right? That's I know your website and your YouTube channel. I'll have those links on this interview
Great.
profile. Thank you so much again for your presence.
Thank
We'll
you,
talk
Valeria.
soon. Bye for now.